round of applause for Steven Soderbergh. I'm not sure if he's the most prolific director out there, but I don't think there's any other director that quite comes close to this man and the amount of content, I hate using that word, the amount of content that he's been producing. And being prolific isn't just enough, it's it's quality productions as well. I think maybe Ridley Scott comes close, but then Sir Ridley hasn't been having, sort of the past couple of films have been stinkers. Napoleon, Gladiator 2. So while I think it is time for Sir Ridley to take a break, Steven Soderbergh is the kind of filmmaker and a voice in American cinema who is producing across mediums, whether it's TV or film. And they are quality productions, but then the prolific nature of the man, his stuff is back to back. Of course, I'm here today to talk about Black Bag, his recent spy caper, which came out a couple of weeks ago. But late 2024, we had Presence, and then early 2024 we had his HBO series Full Circle. So for any creator, I'm not just talking about filmmakers, any creator who is creating sort of singular pieces of work in any medium, to be producing at this pace that he is, as well as at this sort of particular bar that this standard that he's setting. Again, a round of applause for the man. Black Bag is a fantastic movie, but I'll get to that in a second. First of all, very quickly on Full Circle and Presence. Full Circle, HBO miniseries, shot in New York, about a subculture, the Guyanese subculture, which, though I knew existed, I had never been exposed to. So it was a decent enough show. It had a pretty good cast: Timothy Olyphant, Claire Danes, CCH Pounder. I can't pronounce her name, but yeah, that's her. Who else? Zazie Beetz, Jim Gaffigan. Pretty stacked cast, and a really decent show. I liked it, and for a sort of as a crime caper, shot the way it was, it reminded me of Collateral, Michael Mann's first foray into digital filmmaking, and at least I think that was Hollywood's first attempt at it too, and it had that same look. Really liked it. Then of course you had the ghost/horror. It wasn't a horror as such, it was more of a ghost story with Presence. Very innovative, and considering the amount of sort of the kind of ghost stories that we've seen, Paranormal Activity is one, for example, that kind of reintroduced the whole genre. I think it's a very welcome addition. It works at times, at other times it doesn't, but still, I really liked it, and definitely one to add to that sort of subgenre of ghost stories. And then, of course, you have Black Bag. Before that, and I hope that we can put this in post, I remember this Matt Damon interview. I think it was on Hot Ones. So while he's having really hot wings, in between the snot and the tears, he's like, because he's worked with Soderbergh several times before. If you remember the Ocean's movies, he said about Soderbergh that he is a director that is all about form. He likes to explore form, and that's something that we always get with him. If we go all the way back to the late 80s with his very first movie, Sex, Lies and Videotapes. Then you had Traffic, Erin Brockovich, the Ocean movies. What's it called? The Girlfriend Experience. I can't believe I'm forgetting this because it was one of my favorite shows at the time, and it was such a shame that maybe it ran its course, maybe it was cancelled, I'm forgetting right now exactly. But what a fantastic show it was. Clive Owen starring The Nick, about sort of the Nick, the hospital, the Knickerbocker, in turn of the century New York. The way that show was shot, the music, it was almost like a science fiction show. And it was because that they were trying to present this hospital that was pushing the boundaries of the frontiers of medicine in sort of 19th century, early 20th century New York. So a really good show. And that was, again, an example of this director just having range, sort of being able to do such a wide variety of things in these different mediums. Now, of course, you have Black Bag, which is a spy caper, which sort of, harks back, or at least, so first of all, it stars Michael Fassbender, another stacked cast, Michael Fassbender, Claire, Kate Blanchett, Pierce Brosnan, who else? Reggie St. Pierre, I hope I'm getting that right. It stars all of these people. And the reason why I'm saying that, it reminds me of the Ipcress File, is that if you look at Michael Fassbender's look, those glasses that he's wearing, those are straight up Michael Caine from the Ipcress File. And in that same vein, it is sexy, it is smart, it's suave, it's stylish. It sort of oozes all of these things. It's a really tight, spy flick, the kind that doesn't need to resort to, sort of explosions or sort of like, somebody jumping through a window or something like that, or blowing things up. This is cerebral. It's the kind of back alley stuff that you'd find in, by back alley stuff, I don't know, the reason why I said that is that The Man Who Came In From the Cold, if you remember, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, that, or The Third Man, it's very Cloak and Dagger, updated, of course, for this era. But when they say, and this is a common refrain, when they say, they don't make movies like this anymore, they literally don't make movies like this anymore. I mean, when was the last time that you had a spy film that very frankly centers around a dining table? I'm not going to give away because, sort of the dining table in this particular movie plays a very large part. It's at least the initial setup for the movie, and then it's also the finale. And again, I don't want to give away too much because it's going to be a spoiler. I'm not that kind of critic. But when did you last watch a movie that was sort of like Dinner with Andre type, where you invite a couple of spies over for dinner and you chit chat? Maybe Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, but then of course the source material was written a lot earlier. A really good movie. I mean, honestly, not to be too superlative or to give, give too much credit to it. But I feel that so far, for 2025 at least, Black Bag is one of my favorite movies. I hope 2025 has more to offer, but so far, even though we're kind of late into the day, it's already April, it's March, April, when the movie came out. Now, of course, it's April. But yeah, Black Bag, fantastic movie. So the clothes, I'm very much about clothes as well. But just the way they're dressed, the way Michael Fassbender plays this role, it reminds me of Sir Alec Guinness, who when he played Smiley in Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. There's this calm to him. There's this calm, sort of impassive, sort of this look in his eyes. But it's just amazing. And I'm going to sort of take this moment to credit Fassbender as well, and also bring up another show, a spy show, as luck would have it, and that is of course The Agency, also starring Michael Fassbender, Richard Gere, who else? There was a lot of people. Dominic West. It's created by the Butterworths, two brothers, and it's directed, and the reason why I'm even mentioning this is one of my favorite directors, or at least he's made one of my favorite movies of all time, that's Atonement, and that's Joe Wright, and he's an executive producer on this, and he directed the first two episodes. Really good, really good. I think it was released towards the end of 2024, which is why it's a shame it doesn't get enough mention, but sort of as a smart spy series. something that I'm not saying has been overtaken by Slow Horses. Slow Horses is also a really good show, but I think that there's something about this that slightly has an edge, and we've had this glut of spy shows that have been released over the past, I would say, maybe 2 or 3 years. You had Slow Horses, of course. You have over on Netflix The Recruit, Night Agent. This is, I think, a really welcome addition in that it's made for adults, and I don't mean the content, but it's just like sort of like, it's smart. It's very real world because, of course, it factors in Ukraine. Thank God they've moved on from Islamic terrorism or Islamo-fascists to the big bad Russian bear. They've moved on to them, but thank God for that. The spotlight's away from us. But yes, again, another stylish show, very well made. There's this amazing shot in in episode 2, and I'll try and put that in post. It reminds me of the shot from the Manchurian Candidate, the 60s one, where you have a profile of Michael Fassbender, and then sort of like there's this large screen at the back. What a shot that was. Beautiful. And again, it's Joe Wright. He knows his craft. So yes, one more. I'm just going to do this and we'll end it on this note. Another really, really good one, but this was a miniseries, a limited series that came out also last year. And that was, I hope I'm remembering this correctly, A Spy Among Friends, or Gentlemen Among Spies. One of the two. It's about, of course, Kim Philby and the Oxford spy ring, and it stars one of my favorite actors. We've spoken about this on the show, Guy Pearce, and of course Damian Lewis. Another very, very well made spy show, and British, of course, and very much in the tone of that sort of 60s spy stuff, which I really liked. And of course, the suits are always a winner. So check these all out. And of course, Black Bag, one of my first recommendations for 2025. Check it out.